Hello, my name is Gottfried Hirnschall. I have been, until about a year ago, director of the Global Hepatitis Program in the World Health Organization in Geneva, and I'm now back to Austria. Hepatitis remains one of the really exciting areas and promising areas, I believe, where a lot remains to be done, and where I'm enthusiastically watching and collaborating. And I have been working closely in the past with the World Hepatitis Alliance, and I'm now a board member of the Hepatitis Aid Austria, in continuation of my previous work. 2020, I think, is a special year because it's obviously a target year in the implementation of the global hepatitis strategy that was established in 2016, and we had some interim targets that all countries are now hopefully looking at very carefully to see how far they have come and what remains to be done. But again, it's important that 2030, the elimination targets remain very vividly and very carefully looked at in this junction year. 2020 is obviously also the year that goes into history because of the COVID-19 pandemic. And what we have seen, and WHO has just been completing a study, is that the normal services, health services, have been compromised. And that includes services for HIV and hepatitis. And quite a large number of countries in that survey has been expressing their worries about the continuity of those prevention, treatment and testing services for hepatitis and HIV. So that certainly requires very special attention as we look into the future. Now, looking into the future, I think we should really continue to look very carefully what's written into the strategy, globally, but also at the national level. And I want to highlight 5 points, obviously. One is the prevention of hepatitis B through immunization, through the birth dose. Many countries have been doing a fantastic job, but some countries are still lagging behind, particularly some of the sub-Saharan African countries. Secondly, is looking at prevention of mother-to-child transmission, and WHO is launching their PMTCT guidelines for hepatitis for World Hepatitis Day, so there's a special focus globally on that area to guarantee a hepatitis-free future. The third is still to look at the testing gaps. There are still substantial gaps where we know that only about between 10 and 20% know of the hepatitis B and C status globally, so a lot to be done to catch up here. And then obviously the provision of treatment for hepatitis B and the cure for hepatitis C. The fourth is still to look very carefully at what is provided to key populations. And here I want to mention, obviously, injecting drug users that need to have access to harm reduction, broadly speaking, but that needs to include hepatitis C testing and treatment if needed, and also hepatitis B testing, of course. Then we need to look at migrants, we need to look at vulnerable population more broadly speaking. And the fifth point that I really want to mention that is obviously very relevant at this point as we speak is to make sure that those services for hepatitis and other infectious diseases are continued, as obviously the intention is very much focused on COVID-19 at this point, by combining services, by looking at strengthening existing structures and existing services, but to do everything to prevent that the continuity of these services is compromised. That's all I have to say. I wish us all a successful, a fruitful and an exciting World Hepatitis Day 2020.